Good evening, everyone. My name is Jesse Obremski, and I am one of the members of Dance NYC's Junior Committee. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I'm glad to have this space to offer initial context to our gathering today. My pronouns are he, him, and I identify as a Japanese American, non-disabled man. I have white passing skin, short black hair, a facial mustache that isn't quite full and takes what feels like 5 to 10 years to grow out. And I am wearing a Uniqlo blue polo shirt with white stripes, vertical and horizontal. And behind me is a blue couch with a picture frame of red burning Mount Fuji. And 3 beautifully diagonal shelves. I am currently in Harlem, New York, the land of the Wappinger and Munsee Lenape people. I invite you to take a moment to let us know in the chat the indigenous land where you are currently tuning in from. If you do not know who the original stewards of the land you are currently occupying, please visit www.native-land.ca. Thank you for joining us for Re-Entering with Care, a community town hall, the 4th event in our 5-part Redefining Practice series with Dance NYC. As we are at the mercy of technology, we invite you to extend us grace and patience for this evening's event. Thank you for those who are sharing in the chat where they are from. For those new to Dance NYC, this organization delivers 5 core services for the field: advocacy, action-oriented research, leadership training and convening, technological resources through our website, and grant making. For those new to the Junior Committee, or JCOM as we share, JCOM is a proactive working committee of emerging leaders in the field where we generate ideas through dialogue and move those ideas into continued action. We have been meeting bi-monthly since late 2020. You can learn more about our programs at our Dance NYC website. As a vital part of Dance NYC, tonight's program features ASL interpretation from Sign Nexus and closed captioning services provided by the Viscardi Center. A link to the closed captioning is available in the chat, and they can also be toggled on using the CC icon on your Zoom menu bar. Speakers will visually describe themselves, and we will also post speaker information in the chat and our website. The event intro, outro, and presentations by featured speakers will be recorded and will be available on Dance NYC's YouTube channel after the event. The participatory activities will not be recorded. Feel free to post comments you want to share with the community or ask for technical help in the chat. Dance NYC and JCOM moderators will be available to interact with you. If the chat box is not accessible to you, you may use our voice-only hotline number at 212-996-4452, extension 1, to submit your questions and comments. That number will be posted in the chat to view and to utilize throughout this event. We hope you will help us amplify these conversations. Repost, tag us, and share your takeaways on Twitter at Dance NYC or Instagram at dance.nyc and Facebook at dance_NYC using hashtag Redefining Practice and hashtag Dance NYC Live. You can also find JCOM's Instagram at Dance NYC JCOM with 2 M's. The socials will be posted in the chat for spelling and utilization. I will now share our community guidelines and read our land acknowledgement. Dance NYC's community guidelines, which can be found in the chat, are a living commitment and may grow and/or change to reflect our learning. If you have feedback for these guidelines or any part of our programming, we really invite you to share them via our post-event survey or via email at info@dance.nyc. Upon participating in this event in any way, You are entering a virtual space of learning, reflection, respect, and accountability that is based on Dance NYC's values of justice, equity, and inclusion. This means that you and we, all of us, agrees to share opinions and options, challenge perspectives, and engage or debate respectfully, acknowledge and course correct if harm is caused, honors everyone's personhood and humanity, and not tolerate speech that is disparaging, abusive, violent, or that is intended to defame someone's character publicly. If anyone acts in violation of these guidelines, they will either be warned and asked to course correct or removed depending on the severity of the action. We thank you for your collective agreement in these guidelines to ensure that our space remains generative for and respectful of our community. As a way of deepening our work and learning in racial justice, we regularly practice land acknowledgements at meetings and public convenings to recognize our country's violent history and its legacy in the space we occupy. This practice is currently under development with the guidance of Indigenous dance artist and activist Emily Johnson to ensure that we embody this allyship. This includes taking actionable steps towards reparations in this initial instance by nurturing relationships with local Indigenous and First Nation artists and organizations, and making pathways for Lenape artists and leaders to return to Lenape Hoking today. I would like to acknowledge that the city of New York is on stolen land. More importantly, Lenape Hoking, the unceded homeland of the Lenape people, who are also recognized federally as the Delaware Nation of Oklahoma, Anadarko, Oklahoma, Delaware Tribe of Indians, Bartlesville, Oklahoma, Stockbridge Munsee Community, Bowler, Wisconsin, and in Canada, Munsee Delaware Nation, Moravian of the Thames First Nation, Delaware of Six Nations. The Lenape people are the original inhabitants and caretakers of this land and gave Manhattan Island its name, Mannahatta, meaning hilly island or place where we go to gather the wood for the bows. Additionally, as we are gathered digitally and inspired by Adrian Wong of Spiderweb Show in what is currently called Canada, I invite us to consider the legacy of colonialization embedded within the technologies, structures, and ways of thinking we use every day. We are using equipment and high-speed internet not available in many rural Indigenous communities that at times leave significant carbon footprints, contributing to climate change that disproportionately impacts Indigenous communities worldwide. We acknowledge that changing these iniquities are our shared responsibility, as are our roles in reconciliation, decolonization, and allyship. We recognize that as an organization based in New York City, we have benefited and continue to benefit from the systemic displacement and subsequent erasure of Lenape people and governance on their land. Please join me in taking a moment to recognize and reflect on the centuries of violence, displacement, forced migration, and settlement here, as well as the centuries of resilience and leadership of all Indigenous and First Nation peoples on Turtle Island that have led to our presence and livelihoods in New York City today. Continuing our practice of recognition, we would like to name openly the legacies of the African slave trade, migration and immigration patterns, the disabilities rights and disability justice movements, and LGBTQIA+ fight for justice. These areas and tactics of oppression through which white supremacy and settler colonialism have enacted and sustained its power over time, are not the only areas, but rather the main focuses of Dance NYC's ongoing historical acknowledgement practice and justice, equity, and inclusion strategy. We have continued to witness as a nation and city the palpable impacts that systemic racism has on the lives of Black and Indigenous people, peoples of color, immigrants, disabled and immunosuppressed people, LGBTQ plus people, and people living in low income communities and poverty impacted by COVID-19. White supremacy continuously manifests itself in violence at the hands of law enforcement and in interpersonal interactions, our government's response to COVID, and our cultural institutions. We acknowledge and mourn all people whose lives have been violently harmed or taken by the actions of white people, institutions, and systems, and the many accomplices, witnesses, and beneficiaries of white supremacy who have actively participated in or stood by and observed in silence. I invite us to take a final moment of silence. Thank you so much. Thank you. And now let's continue to read the Redefining Practice series with tonight's conversation. This series focuses on the evolving landscape for dance as a professional practice, living ritual, and technical production. Through these events, we are collectively exploring how artists and institutions are adapting, unlearning, and innovating new ways of being in creation, and the many phases that creation takes to prioritize new learnings in racial justice, physical, emotional safety, and community care. Each event convenes distinct communities and cultural groups. And as with most conversations, who is represented here is not the entirety of any particular community. We hope these gatherings can be the starting point for more conversations and more perspectives to be shared in the future. Today's session, Re-Entering with Care, a community town hall, was developed and curated by the members of 2021 Junior Committee. This year's JCOM was different compared to previous years, as it may have been for everyone. We joined completely remotely and met only in rectangular form. Yes, the delightful Zoom space, Zoom room, Brady Bunch boxes, however you want to name this space that we are here today. And while navigating how we as dance artists, makers, arts administrators, educators, and choreographers were going to navigate this new reality, we found practices and community gathering that connected us and guided us past the need of having to meet in physical space. Through this year of learning and growing, we continue to navigate what a re-entry into the in-person dance world, care and joy in our home spaces, as well as what community meant to us. Utilizing practices that we in JCOM found this year, including sharing our stories, supporting one another through listening, resource sharing, and creating space. We are so glad to culminate our JCOM year with this session to invite our larger dance community together and invite you into this conversation. We are incredibly excited to share this community experience with you, bringing in JCOM members, Ami Shursen, Anna Bea, Brooke Rucker, Daniel Iwata, Jesse Obremski, myself, Joan Bradford, Layla Meyer, Linda Ryan, and Stephanie Rivas. Today, we will be invited to connect through a story share from a JCOM alum through group activities inspired by the Junebug Productions Story Circle, a 5-minute movement and/or bio break, whichever you may need or want for yourself, a resource share towards the end, and community. Tonight's program will feature a shared story from JCOM 2018 to 2020 alumna Rebecca Finn, as well as Mario I. Espinoza, who will kick off our resource sharing portion of today's events. With all of that incredible context under our belts, I will soften my baritone voice, which should probably get some water, which is right here. So glad that it's right here. and to share space and gladly pass the mic to Ami Shirsen to introduce our first speaker. Jesse out.
Thank you so much, Jesse, for that introduction. Hello, everyone. My name is Ami Shirsen. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm calling from the unceded lands of the Lenape people, also known as Elmhurst, Queens, New York. I am a fair-skinned mixed Japanese and Chilean non-disabled woman, a cis woman with baby pink wavy hair with my dark black roots peeking out. I am wearing a gray turtleneck with large circular black earrings, and the background behind me is blurred. As Jesse mentioned, we're excited to be in community space with you all, utilizing practices we have shared within JCOM this past year. First, we'll be leading an activity inspired by the Story Circle methodology created by John O'Neill, founder of Junebug Productions, a Black-founded and led theater in New Orleans, Louisiana. Through this year's JCOM, we have reflected upon what it means to be dancers, administrators, and artists in changing times, from reflecting upon what it truly means to create equitable dance environments last spring as the vaccine was moving towards public distribution, to grappling with what it means to re-enter new spaces. We wanted to expand the conversation we had in this JCOM space into the broader community to allow all of us, all of our personal experiences and stories to guide us through times of challenge, new realizations, and hope. We'll be inviting you all to join us in a story share in a few minutes using the prompt, share a story about a practice or lesson you learned in the past 2 years, reflecting upon experiences you may have had from March 2020 to now. We give you time and space to reflect and want to bring the JCOM community voices to start off. So to kick us off in sharing our experiences and stories, we would like to bring in Junior Committee alum from 2018 to 2020, Rebecca Fitton. Rebecca is an artist, administrator, and advocate. She creates community through conversation, food, and movement informed by her experience as a queer, neurodivergent, multicultural immigrant. I will now pass it off to you, Rebecca. Thank you so much for being here. Ami out.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for inviting me into your story circle. As Ami shared, my name is Rebecca Fitton. Today, I use she, her, hers pronouns. I am a mixed race person with a short brown bob and bangs. I'm wearing a blue and white floral shirt and gold hoop earrings. I'm sitting in an office turned storage room with terrible fluorescent lights and a filing cabinet and amp behind me, and also some paper roll that I can see. I'm not in New York right now. I'm actually coming to you from the University of Texas at Austin, where I'm a grad student. So I'm going to share with you UT's land acknowledgement and also their land engagements and commitments as a flagship university, which was developed by Indigenous leaders here at UT. And I'm going to put a link in the chat as well that explains more about that relationship. I would like to acknowledge the Tonkawa, Comanche, Apache, and all the Indigenous peoples and communities who have been or have become a part of these lands and territories in Texas, past, present, and future. Thank you. So last year, I presented a piece that I titled with the letters R-E with 5 underscores after the 2 letters. We took to calling it re, but in reality, the spaces after the letters were more important than the prefix. The spaces were a place to offer care. Tonight, we see it in redefining and re-entering. We are leading with re and letting each other fill in the blank as we need. In my performance, we offered respond, restage, reclaim, reorientation, and recognize. Today, I wanted to share a piece of paper from the work with you. I'm holding it up to the camera right now, and it's homemade, so it has a pretty rough texture. The prevailing color is pink, but interspersed there are gold, blue, and gray flecks with red and white strips of paper. I can just make out some of the word fragments on the white paper, and they include spirit, divide, narrator, and interlude. This little piece of paper was created from pieces of my research and development process for which included news articles, academic papers, hongbao, which are the red envelopes given to children from elders during Chinese New Year, wildflower seeds, blue painter's tape, and a little bit of glitter. When I was making this piece, my physical process became making the paper, soaking these scraps of paper, blending them together, and allowing the pulpy water to wash over a mesh board, then flipping out the newly formed paper over a towel and gently allowing it to dry in the summer air. I'd never made paper before, so mistakes were aplenty, but they were joyful. I practiced creating slowly with a lot of repetition and full of care. This piece of paper allowed me to share my story while taking care of the audience members' physical, mental, and emotional well-being, while my creative support team, some of whom are in the room tonight, figured out the mechanics of performance on Zoom. I began to create packages of care to send to each audience member. I wanted the work to be physical, for attendees to sense my presence not only through the screen like we are today, but also in their homes. Dance, after all, is a kinesthetic art form. And so by the time of the performance, each person who had RSVP'd, and I made sure everyone did it 2 weeks in advance, received a package from USPS with a piece of this paper, a short zine co-created by peers who asked similar questions of their Asian American identities in this time, and a green tea bag. The attendees were instructed not to open their packages until cued, and this came at the very end of the performance, and together, on camera, we opened our gifts, brewed the tea, read the zine, and collectively held my story in our hands. Outside of my artistic ambitions in providing a package to the folks who were able to attend my performance, I was also hoping that this multi-level of engagement with this work was able to create an inclusive space, a way to witness a performance that centers your experience as a viewer, a chance to choose your own adventure. You could watch the dance, or you could read the piece of paper. You could hold the piece of paper in your hand while you read the zine. You could take a break and just drink a cup of tea while you knew a performance was happening. And so now, as JCOM posits this question to us as to how we re-enter, I'm curious as to how we can lead with consent for the audience, to take care of their experiences and how they may engage with the work, to give them a little paper that says it's okay to take a break if this is moving too fast. That work premiered over a year ago, and I know my dance practice has shifted dramatically. I'm in grad school for not dance. And so as we re-enter, what I'm holding on to is that I'm ready to make more paper, to choose my ingredients, blend them up, get messy, and then watch my creation slowly dry. My practice at that moment wasn't just about dance or being in the studio. It was about remembering that we bring our full selves into this work, expressing ourselves through torn strips of paper, some tape, flower seeds, and a little bit of glitter. So the story that I shared today, I wrote down because I had a very busy day and knew that I would go on many tangents if I didn't write it down. But it's also an invitation to you all as you share your stories to allow yourself to go off script and to be messy and to make a piece of paper that maybe doesn't have a specific function, but is nice to look at and that you can keep with you as you move forward. Thanks. Rebecca is going to pause.
Thank you so much, Rebecca, for sharing your story and reflections into this space tonight. Everyone, my name is Linda. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and I'm one of the co-chairs of JCOM. I'm calling in today from unceded Lenape land, which is also known as Crown Heights, Brooklyn. I'm a white woman with curly hair that is blonde at the ends and very dark brown at the roots as it's growing out. I'm wearing a black sweatshirt, and behind me you can see some frame certificates against a white wall. We now want to bring in our audience into this experience and into the space of sharing their own stories through a participatory activity. Utilizing the same prompt that we shared with Rebecca, we're going to ask each of you in this group to share a story about a practice or a lesson that you learned in the past 2 years. We will be splitting off into 4 breakout rooms for this, where our fantastic JCOM facilitators, Brooke Rucker, Danielle Iwata, Joan Bradford, and Steph Rivas will be facilitating the group through the prompt. Each individual will have approximately 2 minutes to share their story, maybe a little more, maybe a little less, depending on how many people are in each room. If you need ASL or captioning, please let Izzy Dow know via private message within the chat. You will receive more instruction in your breakout groups from your facilitators. So I'll now take a moment and split you all into your breakout rooms. So stand by here, and Linda out.
It's really lovely seeing everyone's smiling faces come back into the space. This is Ami speaking. We hope that that was a grounding and interesting experience for you all to share your stories into the space with us. Before we move towards the resource sharing portion of today's event, we want to have time for a quick 5-minute break. We'll be in the main meeting room for the rest of this event. So if folks want to take a bio break or get some water, this is your time. But if you want to stay with us for a little bit, we will have some time for a movement moment, another practice that we utilize in JCOM. So we'll come back as a group at 7 p.m. So if there's folks who want to stay here for the movement moment, let's move our bodies, get them warmed up. Let's first start by bringing our hands together, rubbing them together, starting to create some heat. This can be done really slowly or fast, just kind of experiment with this movement a little bit. And as you create a steady motion, breathe in and out at a tempo that feels good to you. And we'll stay here for about 10 seconds. So after you're feeling warm and comfortable, we ask that you move your hands to a part of your body that might be holding the most tension right now. So for me, this is my left hip, but for you, it might be your shoulder, your jaw, your back, wherever you're feeling this tension. So I ask you all to, if you feel comfortable, gently massage and also send some gratitude to this area for its hard work and care up to this day. I know that we're at 6:56. It's been a long day. Folks have been sitting down for a while. So let it know that it can rest and release tension. And stay here for a moment longer until we bring our hands together to create warmth, whenever you feel comfortable. Great. So now let's bring our hands together. And as a group, let's continue and make this heat again. So I know that last time you may have done a fast motion, a slow motion, something at a steady tempo, but try with a different kind of motion. Continue your breath. And now let's bring our hands towards our face. And so this can be in any motion you would like. You can explore your temples, your cheeks, your jaw, anything that needs a little bit of kneading. Your face is bread right now, and any place that needs some love. And I know we look a little silly, but we look silly together. And so let's continue to explore parts of our face. And whenever you feel comfortable, please get ready for one shakeout along with an audible breath. So it'll be a release, but with a breath. And so I'll count us out from 3, 2, 1. Ha! If you need to linger some other shakeouts, that's fine too. Thank you so much for joining us in that movement moment. We have about 3 minutes left of our break time, so we'll come back at 7 o'clock. In the meantime, let's listen to the music and we will see you soon.
Thanks, Izzy. This is Linda speaking. I hope everyone's bodies are feeling grounded and comfortable right now after our movement moment or that little break. Creating space for support and resource sharing is a vital part of our values in JCOM. We want to again bring you all in to share resources of any capacity that you think would be helpful for this group. Those who are looking for grant support after the impact of COVID, mental health resources, affordable studio spaces, anything that you're looking for or anything that you have to offer is on the table here. But first, we're going to pass it off to Mario I. Espinoza to kick off the resource sharing portion. And Linda.
Thank you, Linda. Hi, everyone. My name is Mario Espinoza. My pronouns are they, them, theirs. And I'm a Mexican immigrant, currently non-disabled, with light skin privilege, and I am calling in from Southern California, the unceded ancestral land of the Yuhaviatam Marengayam people. I am a dancer, and I'm also a social worker with the Dancers Resource at the Actors Fund. The Actors Fund is a social service agency that provides social services for people in the entertainment industry. I'm going to do a brief description for folks that with disabilities, with visual disabilities or difficulty seeing. And I'm going to slow down because I tend to speak really fast. I'm wearing a denim button-up shirt. My hair is pulled back into a bun. I have lunares covering my face and body. I am wearing gold rimmed glasses. I have my septum pierced. And I have gold earrings on both of my ears. The background is a taupe colored wall with nothing on it and a black couch on my bottom right. So I want to talk to you, talk to everyone about the services at the Actors Fund. And I'm going to start by just talking about some of the programs that the Actors Fund has. One of them, and I think one of the most important ones that I can think about for artists is the Artist Health Insurance Resource Center. And that's a place where uninsured artists, dancers and choreographers, and anybody in the entertainment industry can go and have an adjuster help them navigate the marketplace or even figure out what kind of health insurance they're eligible for, depending on their medical needs and depending on their income. I know that for me, that was really hard to navigate when I didn't have health insurance. So that's something that I want to talk about first. And the other thing is the Career Center. So the Career Center has a scholarship program called the Career Transition for Dancers Scholarship. And this scholarship is not only for dancers that are transitioning out of dance, but also that know or think that they might at one point transition out of dance. I'm not going to go too deep into it because there's a lot of stuff that I want to cover. So if anybody has questions at the end, we can ask them then. The next thing I want to talk about is the Housing Resource Center. In the Housing Resource Center, we have a lot of seminars that help folks navigate housing, affordable housing in New York City in specific, but really all throughout the country. Specifically, if folks have questions about the, I think it's called the ERAP, Emergency Rental Assistance Program. The Emergency Rental Assistance Program is for folks that have not been able to pay rent. This program helps people pay for back rent, and it can also help people pay for 3 months of rent going forward. Yeah. Another thing, another really important program that we have is the Financial Wellness Program. And the Financial Wellness Program will soon be offering a seminar called Managing Student Loan Amid COVID-19. And if anybody else is up to their neck in debt like myself, this is going to be a great seminar where we can learn about what does it mean for us, what kind of payment programs are out there, how do we sign up for them, which ones are going to be, they're just, I don't even have the words for it because it's such a stressful topic for me to think about, paying back all that money that I paid for school. So if anybody, I'm going to be attending because I don't know very much about the how to manage my student loans. And so that's a seminar that I think is going to be really important for folks. I think we're going to be linking all of these services on the chat, but I think, if anybody has questions, they can always contact me directly, and I'm happy to direct them in the right place. Another thing that I want to talk about is the social services. So the social services, in the social services department, we have a lot of different programs because we recognize that there's a lot of different populations that have different needs, right? So we have a program that specializes in working with folks who are diagnosed or are living with HIV and AIDS. Yeah, those are very specific needs, and they really are vastly different than services for folks with, for example, with disabilities. So we have a program that is the Hiv Aids Initiative. We have a program for the disability supports for dancers and artists that are experiencing disability. We have a program for senior citizens. We have a program for folks struggling with addiction and recovery. And also one of the programs is the Dancers Resource Program, which is where I work. And in the Dancers Resource Program, as well as all of the other programs that I just mentioned, we have financial assistance and we have mental health services along with case management. And what that looks like is, whatever it is that an artist needs, they would speak with a social worker. And then through that dialogue, we identify what are all of the needs that are around there. Right? So sometimes we'll have a dancer that is experiencing an injury. Great. So the dancer comes to the Actors Fund for support, navigating an injury. And then we find out that there's also medical debt, right? Or that there's a surgery that needs to happen. Where does a dancer go to get a surgery? How does the dancer pay for surgery? All of those different things are things that a social worker like myself or anybody in the other social services programs can help dancers navigate, because those are really challenging life experiences of a dancer that our training doesn't teach us how to do. And so that's what the Actors Fund is there to do, is to help folks in the entertainment industry, specifically dancers and choreographers in the Dancers Resource Program, to navigate all of those really unexpected challenges that come up for us in our performing career, leading up to our performing career and after our performing career. So I'm not going to take too much more space. I'm going to pass it on to Brooke or Ami. I think either Brooke or Ami are going to go next.
Yes, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mario, for speaking about these incredibly relevant and critical resources and very helpful resources through the Actors Fund for our greater dance community. Really appreciate you spending time and taking time to share these resources. I want to add a few more resources and events sessions that may be helpful to this community as well. So outside of JCOM, I work for an organization called Arts Business Collaborative. We're a 501c3 technical assistance and research organization, and our mission is to improve the quality of life for people of color through arts and STEM. And so actually all of our services focus on the underlying factors that impede their creative and professional endeavors. So access to capital, networks, and training. And so there's many different services and programs that we do provide through research and technical assistance. But today I want to highlight two programs that I think will be really helpful for folks to this room. So the first is the ABC Help Desk. The Help Desk is an 8-week-long program from September 20th to November 12th. So we're coming to the close, but this is designed to provide strategy and organizational recovery webinars, office hours, as well as individualized pro bono consulting for organizations, small businesses, and individuals who are people of color, organizations that are led by people of color and serving communities of color. The Help Desk consists of 3 different initiatives, as mentioned, webinars, office hours, and pro bono consulting. And so we're currently at week 6 of Help Desk and have a handful of sessions to come before the end, but don't worry, in 2022, we'll be back at it. So tomorrow we'll have a session on research for strategy and resource building with Erica Pedersen and Diane Walsh, and they'll be creating dialogue on how to utilize research strategies and skills within an organization or organizing. And so the Zoom link is in the chat. Please join us. This is all free, and we just want to share these resources with you. And the second is the Empire State Development Pandemic Relief Small Business Grant, which ABC is a community partner for. And so we're supporting small business owners, artists, and creatives apply for this grant. And so if you're interested and want to learn more about eligibility and criteria, you can look at the website in the chat, which is nysmallbusinessrecovery.com, or you can email me at ami@artsbusinesscollaborative.org. We will walk you through the application process, provide tips and tricks, and be a liaison and support through this granting process. And so these are only a few of our amazing offerings we have. So please check us out on Instagram. We're at artsbiz, B-I-Z, collab, COLLAB, and our website is artsbusinesscollaborative.org. Thank you so much for this time and space, and I'll now pass things off to Brooke. Yes. I'll pass things off to Mario.
Thanks, Ami. One thing that I wanted to mention that I totally forgot, so thank you, Ami, for sending it back to me, is that the Actors Fund also provides support groups as part of our mental health services. And I will be starting a support group for injured dancers starting on November 8th. And this group is intended specifically for folks who are not able to perform because of injury. And this group is going to go from November 8th up until December 13th. So it's going to be 6 consecutive weeks. If people are interested, you can contact me directly. So I wanted to just say that and plug it in before we move on to Brooke.
Hi, this is Brooke speaking. I don't think I've gotten to the main room. Did I freeze? Am I here? Did I freeze? I'm good. Okay. I am Brooke Rucker. My pronouns are she, her. I am a Black woman, non-disabled, cisgendered, and I have Black locks that are ombre to brown, and they are pulled back into a ponytail. And I'm wearing a plum fleece jacket with a Black turtleneck underneath and Black dangling earrings that are in the shape of hair pick combs, but are actually West African Adinkra symbols. And the symbol is representative of beauty and femininity. And in the background to my left, there is a TV mounted on the wall. There is a mirror directly behind me. And to my right, there are 5 hats that are hanging on the wall. And so we know that, oh, and one more thing. I am calling in from the land of the Muncie Lenape people, also known as Bedford-Stuyvesant in Brooklyn. So we know that the knowledge is in the room, and we definitely want to open up the space for everyone to be able to share any resources that they might also have and want to offer up to the group. I'm going to offer up 2 that I'm aware of. One is Fail Space NYC. It was founded by a friend of mine, Ampersand, and it is a space for peer mentorship, and it really helps to support people who are looking for a space where they can expand, practice their teaching and performance capacities, opportunities. And the other, they have like a lot of great programs coming up. Let me just say that as well. So I thank you, Anna, for dropping the website in the chat. The second resource that I want to share is one that I truly love. It is the Hip Hop Dance Conservatory's Dance Mart that will provide free groceries for dancers. I have not personally been to the Dance Mart version that they are now doing for these pandemic days, but I'm also going to drop this link. Do check it out. It has saved me many, many times when I wasn't quite sure where I was going to get groceries that week. And so they are great. They'll also give you recipes, which is wonderful. So I would definitely recommend checking them out as well. I am going to conclude. The only last thing that I will say is please feel free to unmute yourself and to join and share if you have any resources. Also, this is a great time. If anything that you heard from Mario or Ami sparked a question and you wanted to know a little bit more, this is also the opportunity to do that. Brooke out.
Mario, I'm gonna jump in and mention something that I put into the chat, and that is a group hosted by Okay, Let's Unpack This, which is nestled in the Give Me Dance organization. And it's a conversation with dancers called an anti-oppressive dialogue with dancers. And I'll read off the description. This 8-week-long online offering serves a platform for dance artists nationwide to build community, take collective care, and imagine implementable solutions towards social justice in dance. Through analysis and dialogue, participants will identify oppressive systems in the field of dance and imagine strategies to disrupt those systems. Interested artists will be asked to select the 12 group cohort. So the link is on the chat, and I hope that folks that are interested will contact Okay, Let's Unpack This to participate. Thank you also to the ASL interpreter.
I want to call out into the space a resource that Izzy had shared. She'd shared a resource, she says, which is new to me, but was recommended during a program we hosted last week. And it's called Freelancers Union. Freelance isn't real. So please take a look at the chat box. So if you have any resources, please feel free to either put them in the chat box or unmute yourself. This is a space for all of us. So all of your resources and knowledge is very much valued and appreciated.
I'm going to jump in and share not so much a formal resource, but something that I've seen shared in other resource sharings, which might be if there are folks in this room that can maybe sit with someone else in this room and take turns looking over each other's grant application or being just a soundboard for ideas. That's something that I would like to share as a resource and would love to buddy up with some folks to do that. So I think maybe that process would be like, you could pop your email in the chat if that's something you're interested in. You know, they say have someone else look at it, read it. I'm looking to make that partnership or trio or quartet, whatever you want it to be. So I'll put my email in the chat.
Hi all, Jesse here. I'd just love to share a resource from Gibney and Gibney Company in our partnership with Symbio Physiotherapy. If you don't know, at our 280 location downtown across the street from City Hall in New York City, anyone is available to sign up for 3 free PT sessions that are 45 minutes long. And I will put a chat or the link in the chat for people to be able to access that. And that's available. The 3 free sessions are available all the way to the end of 2021. And so I hope that you take advantage of that as well. Jesse out.
Hi everyone, this is Linda. I saw that Mario, they just put the Harkness Center for Dance Injuries in the chat, so I'll pop in and say a little something because I work for the Harkness Center and I know Steph, who is also a member, does too. So feel free to ask either of us if you want to know more. But the Harkness Center offers some really great resources for both injured dancers and dancers who are looking to stay uninjured. So we offer free injury prevention sessions with an athletic trainer that you can really like sit and talk about like any questions you have about like reconditioning or like things you're concerned about with a quote unquote return to the studio kind of thing. Like there are a lot of great resources there. Another thing that I wanted to share kind of just came out of the breakout room I was in. If my fellow breakout room people are okay with me sharing this for a moment. But something that I've noticed within my dance circles a lot, and something that I found out of myself recently, is that I'm neurodivergent. And I think there are a lot of neurodivergent people in the dance world, like I think more so than we realize. And so we just started like a WhatsApp group chat. So if you are neurodivergent, like message me, I'll add you to the group chat, and like we can just talk a little bit, because I feel like there's stuff to say. I feel like there's stuff to go down the road and unpack with that. So shoot me a message if that's something you're interested in. Linda out.
Hey y'all, this is Izzy speaking. Haven't introduced myself yet, but I'm the programs coordinator here at Dance NYC, running some of the behind the scenes stuff tonight. But just want to hop in and also say that if y'all love sharing resources and you love knowing about resources, Dance NYC hosts a bi-weekly field-wide call on Thursday evenings from 4 to 5 p.m. We have 4 left this season. So you can come by and learn about great new resources or contribute resources that maybe you're working on to the folks who join that call as well. Really great a way to connect with the larger dance community and learn about both opportunities and things that maybe are helpful. So just want to put that out there. Easy out. And maybe Ami, I'll hand it back over to you, or who's closing us out? Layla?
I'll pass it over to Danielle. And if there's any other folks who want to share resources, please feel free to put them in the chat box. We'd love to see them, but for now, I'll pass it off to Danielle.
Thanks, Ami. Hi, this is Danielle, she, her pronouns. I just wanted to also share that a really great community resource for me and for other folks in this room has been JCOM. This is a really wonderful space and group of humans who I think have been very supportive. So just want to give them a shout out and encourage folks in the room to keep an eye out, because I think there will be applications opening up in the future. So just want to shout that out as a resource. Thanks.
Yes, fantastic. Thank you so much for touching on that. And finally, to close, we have developed community through here as well, and we are each other's resources. I also encourage folks, if you want to put your Instagram at, your email, ways that we can continue to connect and support each other, let's create space for that. And so thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. I'm now going to pass things off to Layla to close out.
Hi, my name is Layla Meyer. I go by she, her pronouns, and I currently reside on Lenape land. I am a Middle Eastern, light-skinned, non-disabled woman, and I am wearing a red sweater and gold necklace, the Cedars of Lebanon, and my background is blurred. We want to thank our speakers for today, Rebecca Fitton, for your reflections and speech, as well as Mario Espinoza for leading our resource share. We also want to thank the JCOM members, both present and as a whole, who have created space for growth and learning. To our attendees, thank you for being avid contributors and offering your insight in all the ways. If you would like to stay on to connect with one another, feel free to stick around. We will keep this link on for the next hour. We are so grateful for your attendance, and we hope you have an excellent rest of your evening. To learn more about JCOM, you can follow us at Dance NYC JCOM. You can also email us at juniorcommittee@dance.nyc or read about us on the Dance NYC website. We want to share our gratitude to our interpreters, Kimi Malav and Pam Pritzker Ridley from Sign Nexus, our captioner, Angela Maddox from the Viscardi Center, and our volunteer chat moderator, Jordan Robinson, for their invaluable support. Dance NYC convening is made possible in part by support from the Howard Gilman Foundation and the Mertz Gilmore Foundation, and by public funds from the New York City Department of Cultural Affairs, in partnership with the City Council, the New York State Council on the Arts, and from the National Endowment for the Arts. Any resources shared today will be posted on the bottom of the event webpage on dance.nyc, and will also be included in our follow-up email to registrants. This conversation will be saved on Dance NYC's YouTube channel for future reference. Please take a moment to fill out the post-event survey linked in the chat and let us know how we did and how our programming can serve you best. Join us next week for our final Redefining Practice Town Hall, Afro-Latinidad, and the New York City Dance Ecology. This event, presented in partnership with Ballet Hispanico and the Caribbean Cultural Center African Diaspora Institute, highlights both the vibrancy and deep historical legacy of Afro-Latino identity and culture, while also acknowledging its invisibility and erasure in New York City dance. Led by scholars and dance practitioners, the Town Hall offers pathways for a redefined understanding of race and ethnicity and challenges the categories and limitations often placed on the works and artistry of dance creatives who hold this multi-hyphenate identity. You can learn more about the event and RSVP on Dance NYC's website. More information about the series can be found at, we'll include that in the link, and those links are available in the chat as well. We hope to have you with us at the next Dance NYC event. Thank you again for joining us this weekend. Good night, New York City Dance.